Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Rabi Mahmood and welcome back to lecture number 27 for the course The History of English Language. Today we are going to start with the English language and world Englishes. We are not going to look at just one English that we have been talking about since so long. We have been just looking at the English language. We have been looking at the structures. We have been looking at different things, at the internal structures, at the outer structures of the language. We have been looking at how it has been developing in different eras. So today what are we going to do? We are going to go far beyond this one English, because it has already been accepted, and in our previous lecture we have seen that it is really it has not only been established, rather it was expanding as much as the British colonies expanding in the modern English world. So just to look at the today's status of English, we are going to start with the English language and world Englishes. Let's see that what we have to discuss today. Firstly, a few different facts, a few interesting facts about English worldwide. It is, it is a truth that all of us know, that English really is becoming a worldwide language. It is being accepted in different fields, or not only one region, but almost all over the world. So let's see what are the real facts. These are the facts that have been adapted from some authentic source. So the facts about English worldwide. The first one is that English has official or a special status in at least 75 countries with a total population of over 2 billion. Look how wide-ranging it really is. It has official or the special status in at least 75 countries. At least 75 countries. There is really a great range of the countries that we are talking about where English is being used. And let's see what is the total population that speaks English, that understands English. It's over 2 billion people. It's over about 2 billions. English is the main language of books, newspapers, airports and air traffic controls, international business and academic conferences, science, technology, diplomacy, sports, international competition, pop music and advertising. So what else is left where English is not used? What are those arenas where it is not used yet? What are those arenas? Can you point it out? It would be really hard because we are saying that English is the main language of the books. It's not only of the books, but rather of the newspapers, of the airports, all the air traffic control that is going on, all the international business that is going on, and the academic conferences, as it is the language of academia. So definitely all the academic conferences that are being held, they are in English. Science, technology, sports, diplomacy, everything is in English. So it's a really very interesting fact about English. Some more facts. Let's see what they are. The first one is that over 2/3 of the world's scientists read in English. 2/3 of the world's scientists. See, 2/3 is really a larger portion. If we divide one circle into the 3 main parts, let's see if it is this way. If there is one circle and we divide it into the 3 main parts, and we are saying that these much. See, that these much are the scientists who read in English. So it means that if all the scientists are reading in English, so what does it mean? It means that all the progress that is going to be made would be in English. Because if they are reading in English, they are going to produce it in the form of English. So another thing is Third fourth of the world's snail mail is written in English. Yes, third fourth. Again, the three parts of the fourth one of the world's snail mail is written in English. It is written in English means it is what is firstly the snail mail? Snail mail is actually, this is an official correspondence that goes on, and most of the time the snail mail we call snail mail to the letters. Third fourth of the world's snail mail is written in English. 80% of the world's electronically stored information is English. Look, 80%. It's such a huge part. What else is left? Only 20%. 80% of the world's electronically stored information, wherever the advancement is there, wherever there is technology, so there is English. 80% of the websites are in English. German is 4.5% and Japanese are in 3.1%. Look, what a great difference. As we were discussing in a previous lecture, that it is a widely used language of internet. So internet, how many websites? 80% of the websites, they are in English. Germans are only 4.5%, Japanese are only 3.1%, and perhaps the rest of the languages would be perhaps 0.001% or 0.02%, the things like that. Then the next important fact about English is that of the estimated 200 million users of the internet, about 35% communicate in English. There is an estimate that the estimated users of English of internet are almost 200 million. 200 million is such a large number. 200 million users of internet are there, and about 35% of these 200 million users, they communicate in English. And then it's again a huge portion. English as a global language. Third, fourth, we are saying that it is becoming a global language. It is coming to be recognized as a globe, as a language of all the universes. See how it is. Third, fourth of the world's mail. World's mail means all the post, all the documentation that is done throughout the world, not in some specific regions, not in some specific continents, rather the third fourth of the third part out of the fourth of the world's mail would be in English language, so we can say it's a global language. The half of the world's technical and the scientific journals. Journals are actually those you can say they are kind of collection of the articles, where the articles are published. They are kind of reading material for the intellectuals of the society. They almost 80% of the information. While we were talking about the scientific journals, and we were saying that half of the world's technical and the scientific journals are written in English. These are half of this world's technical and scientific. All the scientific, firstly, all the scientists, almost all the scientists are reading in English, so they are producing in English. When not only that, rather the scientific journals that are coming up in the academia in the world, they are also in English. Half, it's such a big ratio, 50% of that. Then again 50% of all the newspapers are in English. See what a great ratio. The newspapers that are published, newspapers are a backbone of our society, you know. It's a backbone. It is a thing that plays a central role in the society. when it is playing the central role in the society. So when you see that half of the newspapers of the world, they are published in English, so you can see that how wide-ranging English really is. 80% of the information in computers, 80% of all the information that we have in the computers is in English. All international air pilots, they speak in English. All international sea captains, they speak in English. Many movies, songs and much business is done in the English. Half of the European business deals are done in English. European region, you know, it's a big region. It starts like it has got many countries like Denmark, Sweden, Switzerland. There are so many other languages as well, but still it is a fact, it is an acknowledged and accepted fact that half of the Europeans business deals in English. 7 of the largest TV broadcasters, they are in English. For example, CBS, NBC, ABC, BBC, CBC, CNN and C-SPAN. These are the world's top 7 broadcasting channels and they are in English. Then televangelism of Christianity, again that is in English. When we have looked at such a huge importance of English, and then when it actually one question comes to our mind, that will English go to the same way as Latin has gone? There is one person, Randolph Kirk. He's actually has written explained very beautifully this concept, very beautifully this question, that small wonder that there should have been in a recent years fresh talk of the diaspora of English into several mutually incomprehensible languages. The fate of Latin after the fall of the Roman Empire presents us with such distinct languages today as French, Spanish, Romanian and Italian. With the growth of national separatism in the English-speaking countries, linguistically endorsed not least by the active encouragement of the anti-standard ethos I have just mentioned, many foresee a similar vociferous future of English. Yes, this is the main point of what he was actually saying. These are actually the original wording. This is the exact extract, the exact words that were said by Randolph Kirk. So I have written it out here. A year or so ago, much prominence was given to the belief expressed by R.W. Birchfield that in a century from now the languages of Britain and America would be as different as French is from Italian. A year or so ago, much prominence was given to the belief. There was much prominence that was given to this specific belief that expressed by the R.W. Birchfield that in a century from now, in a century after a complete century means it is a time of 1984. After that, up till 2084, they said in a century from now, the languages of Britain and America would be as different as French is from Italian. Yes, as perhaps as we are seeing as if there is not going to be any kind of change in the English, the things have stopped, the things have come to a freeze, but this is not the point. Actually, the things would change. There is going to be a great change with the passage of time in it. How many people speak English? Again, some few things. In 1500, there is a rough estimate that the 4 million people spoke English. Up till 1600, there were 6 million people. In 1700, there were 8.5 million people. In 1800, 20 to 40 million people. See how the speakers of English were rising. It was in millions. It was not in hundreds and thousands. It was in millions that the people started adapting it as their language. In 1900, we have 116 to 123 millions. Today, It is the first language of 375 million people. It is the first language, English is the first language of 375 million speakers. It is the second language of 375 million speakers. It makes how much? It makes 750 million people. It is used as a foreign language of how many speakers? Of 750 millions. So what does it make? It makes 1500 millions and total 1.5 billion. Of the 6 billion in the world, about 1 in 4. See how largely and how widespread it really is. What a great impact it is having on the people. What a great impact, what a great influence it is having on on the rest of the nation, that people have started adopting it. It started in 1500, only 5 centuries back. There were 4 million and now it's 1500 million, or you can say it's 1.5 billion. See the strength of the speakers. And with this you can even analyze, you can also see how many what would be the importance of these things as well. There are some venues for the spread of English language. Venues means there are some areas, there are some phenomena, there are some fields where English language is spreading. For example, books, academia, newspapers means media, internet, the social connectivity, airports, air traffic control, one domain is airport, international business, all the academic conferences, science, technology, medicine, the diplomacy, sports, international competition, pop-up music, advertising, etc. These are all the areas where English is already in use. Yes. So what is actually the advantage to English language that it has? Because this is so pervasive, this is so known by the people, this is so understood by the people, by such a large community of the people. 1.5 speakers of the world, 1.5 billion speakers of the world can speak it, understand it, can read it. So there is one actually advantage of this thing. What is that? Let's see. There was a very, very important man, Kachru. We'll be discussing about Kachru later on as well. Kachru, in the Alchemy of English, he wrote in 1986, and he said that there is one clear advantage of using English. Let's see that what is what. English does have one clear advantage, attitudinally and linguistically. Advantage kya hai ji? It's from two perspectives. The first perspective is that of attitudinally, the attitude of English language, and the second is that of linguistically, from the language point of view of the English language. It has acquired a neutrality in linguistic contexts where native languages, dialects and styles sometimes have acquired undesirable connotations. It has acquired a neutrality. It is a kind of neutral language as compared to other languages, where neutrals mean it is not biased, it is not a subjective language, it is not of one's own choice, it is more about actually the neutrality, about the objectivity of the language. It is more about objectivity. It has acquired a neutrality in linguistic context where native languages, dialects and the styles have sometimes acquired the undesirable connotations. It was originally the foreign or the Aryan ruler's language, but that drawback is often overshadowed by what it can do for its users. True, English is associated with a small and elite group, but it is in their role that the neutrality of language becomes vital. Yes, the main feature, the one clear advantage is that of neutrality of English language. It is neutral, it is objective, whereas it is objective and it is neutral. That's why it is attained and it is spoken by such a large community of the people. That's why it is spoken, that's why it is used by so many of the people all around the world. There is one person, Tohingo, he wrote something on English in Kenya in his youth, and let's see, it was actually very interesting extract about the importance of English, so I added it intentionally. He has actually written it in 1985, and the language of African literature. He says that nobody could go on to wear the undergraduate red gown, no matter how brilliantly they had performed in all the papers in all the subjects, unless they had a credit, not even a simple pass in English. Thus, the most coveted place in the pyramid in the system was only available to the holders of an English language credit card. Most coveted place in the pyramid and in the system was only available to the holders of an English language credit card. English was the official vehicle and magic formula to the colonial elitedom. It was the official vehicle and the magic formula to colonial elitedom. The important words are colonial elitedom. Yes, what is he saying actually? He says you perhaps he very beautifully starts about getting a degree, that it is if somebody has not passed all the papers, definitely nobody is going to go ahead in the life and not going to get some degree. Now, when one is not going to get any degree, so it says that the best place in the world, if it is if a person deserves, it's only because of this English language that they have come to that specific place. Because why? The reason is that English was the official vehicle and the magic formula to the colonial elitism. It was official language of the people, as well as it was and it is a symbol of prestige. It has a magic formula to the colonial elitism. To the colonial elitism means about the when the Britishers were reigning, well, they were ruling and they had the power in different British Empire, in the British colonies. At that time, it was regarded as a symbol of elitedom. It was regarded as a symbol of something that is very prestigious, something that is of high rank. Economic aspects of English language. Now there are actually some questions that are related to the economic aspects of English language. That what is there any really economic aspect as well? Is there, if we are actually looking at the broader characteristic features of English and we are trying to identify that what are the different facts that are hidden behind English language, what are the reasons of its popularity, how many speakers are there of the English language, and now we are coming to some very materialistic aspect of the English language, and where we are trying to see that what economic benefits does English bring to the UK. Are there any economical, financial factors behind the use of English language as well? Because while we were saying that when English was expanding all over England, when it was expanding, when it was getting acknowledged all over the England by the people, so what has happened actually, there must be some financial and economical reasons behind that. And what are those reasons? The reasons are that British language products are worth over £800 million a year to the UK. British English language products are worth over £800 million. English language products are worth, see, what is their worth? £800 million pounds a year to the UK. In 1 year, it is earning, the English language products are earning, what is their worth? It is 800 million pounds. The total expenditure of 700,000 visitors to the UK annually to learn English is over 700 million pounds. Possibly over 1 billion pounds. It makes how many? 1 billion pounds. The English language makes it possible for the British companies to develop markets, sell into them and form commercial alliances. It brings direct benefits to the supply of English teaching goods and services. Yes. Because of English, there is the supply of the technical goods and the services in UK market. See how much it is earning to, how much economically beneficial it is for the people, especially in UK. We are just talking about one aspect, that is about UK. In 1 year, on one hand, only the products are giving them 800 million pounds. And then only the visitors who are going there to visit, they are earning 1 billion pounds because of this English language. Then some economical factors for English spread. What other benefits does English have for the UK? Those were just specifically the English benefit. Those were specifically the economical benefits. Let's see what are the other benefits that English have. Tourists are encouraged to visit the UK. Yes, no doubt. Business people are encouraged to invest in the build partnership with the UK. Yes, definitely. It's just because of English language. People are encouraged to watch British films, read books by British authors, and listen to British radio and popular music. Just because perhaps they are thought to be and they are said to be the standards in English language. They came on a very high pedestal in the English language. So these are a few of the benefits that English language is getting. Now a look on the world Englishes, that what does this word world Englishes mean, what those are and what are their effects on some things. World Englishes, as the very words show, that Englishes, the world Englishes is a combination of many varieties of English that were spoken all over the world at the time. So world Englishes is a combination of more than one English where different Englishes are spoken. Let's see what these are. Bolton in 2006, he says that it's an expression, world Englishes is capable of a range of meanings and interpretations. Firstly, he says that definitely we can have many of the interpretations, we can have many of the range of meanings while we are going to talk about world Englishes. Then there is actually a definition that is given of the world Englishes, and the first thing it is said that it's an umbrella label referring to wide range of differing approaches to the description and the analysis of Englishes worldwide. It's an umbrella label. It's an umbrella means it is far-reaching. It encompasses all. World Englishes, it's a broader term. It has got many subcategories. It encompasses, it encapsulates in itself. It's an umbrella label referring to a wide range of differing approaches. It refers to what? To a wide range of differing approaches to the description and the analysis of Englishes worldwide, where the linguist, where the language experts, they try to read the English language, where they try to study the English language all over the world. The new English is found in the Caribbean and in the West African and the East African societies, and two Asian Englishes. There were actually different, we say, if we are saying that world Englishes refers to description of the analysis of English, so what kind of English? It is about new Englishes that were found in different areas in the Caribbean seas, West African, East African societies, and Asian Englishes, etc. Kachru's circle theory. Kachru is the same person about which we read a little earlier, and I was telling you that we are going to study in detail that what is Kachru has given actually a specific theory, what was his theory and what was the impact of Kachru's theory on English language. While you firstly look at the picture, there are the different, this is actually a picture of different circles where one larger circle is embedding a little less larger, and then a small circle is there even within that. So this theory is given the name of circles theory, and this is about world Englishes. Many varieties of Englishes are found across the globe, so true. We are agreeing that there are many varieties of English that are found across the globe. Kachru in 1992 has classified these varieties as those used in the inner circle. He says he has classified these varieties. Many varieties of English are found. So he says that the first one is the inner circle, inner circle Englishes, inner circle, the outer circle, and the expanding circle. The first one, the congested and the smallest circle is that of inner circle. Then there is outer circle, and then there is expanding circle, expanding English circle. Let's see that what these circles were and what he actually meant by these circles. Using Kachru's circle theory, its studies suggest that there were in 2001 an estimated 375 million users of English in inner circle societies. Inner circle, the very closed one, who lived like closely, there were 375 million users of English in the inner circle theory, the first smallest circle. Then another 375 million in the outer circle, and these outer circles, this is the circle of ESL societies, and 750 to 1000 millions in the expanding circle, that is the circle of EFL circles. Yes, in the first circle there are 375, in the outer circle there are 375, in the inner circle there are how many? There are 375 speakers. Then there were 375 million. Then in this as well 375 million. And then again in the expanding circle there are once again the 375 million. Sorry, it's not the 375 million, rather it is 750 to 1000 million. It is 750, it is from 750 to 1000 million people are speaking in these circles. The very thing, the one thing that I really like to emphasize in this is that the first circle is the circle of inner circle, where 375 million were speaking this language. This is a circle of a very small circle, and this, in simple words, we can say here the status of English language is that of native language, where or we can say here those speakers live whose native language is English language, or whose we can say it's not who have English language as a first language. Okay, it's native and the first both. Then we come to the outer circle. In the outer circle it is actually ESL users, and then here English as a foreign, EFL, ESL and EFL, ESL and the EFL. Yes, what does ESL and EFL mean? Actually, ESL, this word means English as second language. EFL means English as the foreign language. English as a second language. Second language means when English is the language of the medium of instructions, when English language becomes the language of institutions, and when it is institutionalized at any region of the world, it is referred to as English as a second language. We can say the status of English is there as English as a second language. Whereas in the third circle, that is the expanding circle, the status of English, where we have got the largest number of people, the largest number of the speaker, and this is 750 millions to 1,000 million speakers are found over there. This circle, actually here we have EFL speakers. EFL, English as foreign language. EFL stands for English as a foreign language. So what is the difference between English as a foreign language and English as a second language? I just told you that if any country, if any region, English acquires the place, the second place, the language of the second place, if English acquires the status of of institutions, if it is institutionalized in any of the country, it becomes English as a second language. But when it is not institutionalized, it is just used as a foreign that is far off, something that is like a little beyond. It is foreign. If we say that English is a foreign language, it is a language that is a little beyond that is used, that is spoken, but is not institutionalized. It is not necessary to speak it there. Documentation will not be being done in English. And it is expanding circle, because it is expanding, it is moving. Lots and lots of people are taking a part in it. It is expanding day by day. So the nations where perhaps who cannot understand English, they are even having English as the foreign language in their own country. So now let me ask you just one question. Tell me, what is what is the status of English in our country? Yes, it's a question for you. What is the status of English in our country? There are two hints. The first one is that, is it ESL or is it EFL? Is it English as a second language, or is it English as a foreign language? Just think about it, and we'll come to this question towards the end of the lecture. Yes, the vast majority of the teachers of English as a second and the foreign language in the world today are non-native teachers working in a wide range of settings in the outer circles and expanding circle societies. Non-native English speaking teachers, they are also sometimes there is an acronym that is used for them. It is NNESTS. Yes, a historical overview mentioning cultural circles. The spread of English is, the first thing is the spread of English is from the United Kingdom to the countries where native English speakers have settled down in the large numbers. Kachru's inner circle, as I told you, it's about English, it's about the people where the speakers are of where the English has the status of the first language or the native language. And it is very, very evident from his circle, Kachru's inner circle, that it is about Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa and United States as the first language for many of the countries. And as a second language, Kachru's outer circle is for the second language. For example, Hong Kong, India and Singapore. Why? Because it is institutionalized. There is one hint for you. Okay, or a foreign language, Kachru's expanding circle. Foreign language where it is a language that is far, like at a distance. It is spoken, understood, written. It is there in all the functions, in all the forms, yet it is a foreign language. It does not have some status. And the examples are Germany, Hungary, Poland, China and Japan. Yes, the reasons for the spread were given by Kennedy in 1998, and he said the colonization and they regarded the world as a global village. So they said these were the two important reasons for the spread of English. Yes, there came a person, Kanagraj. There came a person, Kanagraj, and he actually criticized on Kachru's model of the three circles. He said that these circles are lacking, these circles are leaking. Circles are leaking means there is some drawback as well. There is some negativity of his theory as well. And what was the reasons? Number one, human migration, historical and current. He said that the human beings keep migrating from one circle to the other. Perhaps the people who were living in the inner circle, they may migrate to the outer circle, and from the outer circle where the status of English is as ESL, from the outer circle they have gone to some other countries where the status is EFL. English is a foreign language, so they say this is quite natural. Okay. Technology connects peoples after call center example. Call center example, for example, technology connects people. Yes, people are not only migrating, rather they are connected by the technology. We are living here in Pakistan and the status of English is what? ESL or EFL. And we being sitting here in the third world country, we can get ourselves connected to our near and dear ones who are sitting there in UK or Australia or Canada to anywhere else. So that is, connectivity is there. Definitely we are having an access. So the very good use of the words that the circles are leaking. Yes, the circles are leaking. Then there came some more circles that we looking at Kachru's circles. What do the circles include and what do they exclude? How would they change the circles? These circles, notice numbers are different from MacArthur's estimates. Look, see, the first circle, that is the inner circle. Inner circle has USA, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, etc. And it is ranged between 320 to 380 million people. Then we come to outer circle. In outer circle we are having India, we are having Singapore, and the people who are here in this outer circle, they are from 150 to 300 million people. Then the expanding circle is that of China, Russia, and 100 to 1000 million speakers of English language can be there in the circle. There is another way of classifying these Englishes. We are talking about world Englishes, so there is another way of classifying it, and this way is that there are some new Englishes, there are some old Englishes, there are some English based pidgins, creoles and decreolized varieties. Yes, we have in our to perhaps in 2 or 3 lectures back we have discussed in detail the concept of pidgin and creole. Yes, we have already discussed it in detail, and let's see that this is actually another good way of dividing, of classifying the world Englishes into the 3 broader categories. And this was a concept that was given by Kennedy, and he gave this concept in 1998, and in the work Why New Englishes. Yes, the first category, New Englishes. Second is Old Englishes. The third is English based pidgins, creoles and decreolized varieties. New Englishes include, for example, Africa, South Asia and Southeast Asia. Within Africa, they see that how many New English varieties are there. There are Kenyan English, there is Nigerian English. In Africa, there is Kenyan English, there is Nigerian English. In South Asia, we have Indian English, we have Lankan English, we have Pakistani English. See, where our English is coming? Where our English, the variety of Pakistani English is there in the South Asia, in the new Englishes of the world. Good. Then comes Southeast Asia, and within this we have Filipino English, we have Malaysian English, and we have Singapore English. This is one part. This is a category. This is a branch of New Englishes. Now let's come to Old Englishes and see that what were they. In Old Englishes we have North America. North America is further divided into two: American English and Canadian English. Yes, American and Canadian. Then Great Britain, it's English. There was one variety of English that was known as English, and then again the Scots variety of English, then Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, and we have Irish English as well over there. Then Southern Indian and Pacific Ocean. In Pacific Ocean we have Australian English, we have New Zealand English. These perhaps what I am actually realizing right now, that these older Englishes, I can say that these older Englishes actually are a reference to what we can say to perhaps the nativized, to the inner circle of that person, and to the inner circle of the Kachru. These new Englishes, they are coming where? They are coming in the outer, and then some nativized, the Pidgins and Creole, the expanding circle. Perhaps this is not actually what actually is. This is just a rough idea that it can be so as well. English-based Pidgins, Creoles, and decreolized varieties. In Africa, we have West African Pidgins. In Papua New Guinea, we have Tok Pisin. Yes, this is a Tok Pisin, is the same pigeon about which we have talked in a previous lecture. In Sierra Leone, that is Creole, again another pigeon that was there. And then in USA, when we come towards USA, we have Black English Vernacular. That is a separate variety, and that is a pigeon, and that would come in this category. Then we have Hawaii English Creole, that is again a separate category. In Vanuatu, we have Bislama, that is again a separate category. So this was another beautiful way of classifying world Englishes. There was MacArthur who gave a concept about world standard English, and he said that could there be a world standard English? Yes, can there be a world standard English? There is a question from you. Can there be? Should and could. Should means is it compulsory? Is it mandatory? There should be English, a standard English of the world. Could means is there a possibility of any standard English of the world? And if there is a possibility, whose English can it be? And why? What are the reasons behind it? There are the different varieties. World standard Englishes are given. These are all different people who have given these concepts of English. The main standard English varieties are given, and this is how that we just move into the concept of world standard English coming out of so many Englishes. Yes, Kanagra he said he actually once again criticized MacArthur's model, and he said that there is nothing in the center. Yes, as you can see, there is a blank circle over there, and he is saying there is nothing in the center. Reasons why there is nothing in the center. Look at this picture. Actually, this was the picture, na? So there is world standard English. While we are talking about this place, this is about world standard English. So we are actually, he says that there is nothing in the center. And the reason, see what does he say? There is no universal English language nor a world standard English. There is no universal language. There is no, all the languages are there. They have got their own importance. They have got their own role. But there is no standard English that is there. No world standard English is there. Then people construct English as suits their purposes in a given context at a given time. Yes, a very, very important point. People construct English as suits their purposes. People are going to construct those sentences of English that are going to suit them and to their purposes and to their talks at that specific period of time. Functionality and pragmatics are more relevant than world standard English. Yes, he talked about two main things. Actually, this was a person who has looked at, the functional aspect of language. He has looked at the functional aspect of the language, and he is saying, yes, people construct English as suits their purposes in a given context at a time. And what is more important, the functionality and pragmatics. Functionality of language is important, and the pragmatics are the more relevant in the world standard English. He actually focused more on the function. He said that there is no need of a world standard English. Actually, the main purpose of the English is what? The main purpose of the world standard English is that there must be the fulfillment of the needs of the speakers of English language. It means whatever, for example, English, the language must be rich enough that can express their thoughts, that can express their talks, that can express their things. Yes, they need the functions. The language must be complete in itself, not only in the structure but rather in the functions. They said that it should have all the functions. If a person wants to convey something, the English must be or the specific language must be able to convey all those things. It must have the vocabulary bank. It must have the things. Functionality and pragmatics. Pragmatics are actually the use of language in the context. Again, he is talking more about the background. He is talking more about the context of the language. He says that these things are more important rather than the world standard English. One standard English is not treated, rather its appropriate use in the specific context is more needed. Non-native standards and ideas from Kachru. There are non-native standards as well, multiple literary canon, and these were regarded as multi-canonical. Nativizations, local effects on the English in local, acculturation, effects of English on a native language. Liberation linguistics was there. Debate with the Quirk. Quirk is the same person I have quoted something in the beginning of my today's lecture. Kachru favors development of non-native standards, norms. He actually, non-native standards, Kachru was in the favor of the development of the non-native standards. He said that these were really needed, these were essential. To give importance to the other things was really very, very important. It favors the development of the non-native standards or the norms. Norms are actually the standard, or the one criteria, or we can say one thing, that one standard thing is known as a norm. And he said that he actually favored that the non-native standards must be raised up. They must be risen, and they must be developed into something really tangible. English as a double-edged sword. Yes, another aspect of English language. Even though the majority of ESL and EFL teachers in the world are NNESTs, some institutions fight to get NESTs as well. Some Korean universities, they are trying, okay, they are saying that the English is a double-edged sword. Ambivalence about non-native varieties in the outer circle is really ambivalence. Ambivalence is the confusion. Ambivalence is the complexity of the language in the outer circle. One was inner circle. Inner circle was that of the native speakers. Outer circles where language was used as ESL, as English for the second, as English as second language, okay, for the speakers. And for the criteria of ESL, there is actually ambivalence about the non-native varieties in the outer circle. There is confusion, there is a complexity about the non-native varieties of language in that circle. Then the center still controls English language industry. So what is the center? Center is the inner circle. The inner circle is the circle of which people? Where English is the native language, or English is the language, the first language of the people. And definitely center is controlling all of the circles. Center is having power on the outer circle, on the expanding circle, that is outside, and how it is controlling? Because all the textbooks were written in the language that was the language of inner circle. Professional journals, now it is changing somewhat. The non-standard dialects, the English varieties of the rest of the circles is now also being accepted. But again, this was the territory of the people who are from that inner circle. Then the concept of who, the experts. Again, the experts, we say there is actually a misunderstanding. There is a concept that the people who are living in the inner circle, only they are the experts of English language, because it is their language, it is their first language, so they are the sole experts of this language. Again, a great misunderstanding of the things. That this is and again it is, I would say, it's a power structure. It shows that they are marginalizing all the groups, and they are showing off their powers, although not directly, rather indirectly, because everything is being done from that norm. Norm is what? The standard is what? That comes in the inner circle. The rest of the circles, perhaps they stand nowhere. Legitimacy. However, in some ESL context, ESL means in English as second language context, such as India, locally produced materials in English may be given preference over centered produced materials, and locally trained teachers are seen as legitimate English language teachers. Yes, there is now a change is there. There is a shift in the attitude of the people. English has started getting legitimized. Legitimized is something that is accepted legally. It has started gaining the acceptance of legal issues. How? Because now, for example, if we take the example of India, within India, the people who the Indian writers who are writing in English, that is even also acceptable over the people who are sitting in England and they are writing it. They are writing some specific books. Although there is a question of actually prestige, there is a question of preference. We always prefer that specific group, that inner circle, and the outer circle is never preferred. Yet there is the legitimization, there is the legalization of the outer circle as well. Whatever they are producing, whatever the work they are doing, that is also acceptable. Now, some varieties of English language. The world of English is the emergence of establishment of the many varieties of English, both international and on the national level. There are the reasons for the varieties. For the first one is the development of the languages in new and unfamiliar context. there is there would be the development going on in the new and unfamiliar. The thing would be new and unfamiliar context would be there. Context marked by the different ecological, cultural, linguistic, social characteristics. The context, the background would be marked by different ecological, cultural and the linguistic, social characteristics, etc. So in that reason they would have a variety of language emerged with them. These are some of the varieties that are given. There's a, for example, there's a government desire for the standardization of English in the Singapore. The anti-Singlish campaign is going on. Then there is actually a question that who is a native speaker, and is that really important? Can standardization and identity become balanced? Is it really possible that the two things, the inner circle and the outer circle, will they ever get merged? Will there ever be a chance of their getting accepted? They're getting legitimized. Although they are legitimized, yet the preference is always given to the inner circle. What is an error and what is the difference? Still it is confusing. What things can non-native English speaking teachers do better? What things can the native English speaking teachers can do better? Yes, these are the different questions that are really very, very important, and that can be addressed. These are some of the translations of some words for, that are actually used these days in today's modern English. For example, there is a lot of use of one word that I myself have noticed in many of the things. For example, the word lol, L-O-L, it has come out of laugh out loud. These are actually some examples from the new Englishes, the varieties of new Englishes that are emerging. There in GTG, got to go, LYLS, love you like a sister. BRB, be right back. W is was up. Only WZ is written, so was up. Anam, nothing much. Sitian can talk now. Sitian can talk now. TMI, too much information. Love ya. LUVYA. Look at the spellings and look at the meanings that they have got. This is actually the new words, the emergence of the new Englishes that we have noticing, and you see that this is actually these are the examples that are found in our own English, in our Pakistani English as well, that we used in our messages, that we used in our status at Facebooks. BF is a boyfriend, GF is a girlfriend, BFF is a best friend. And as we close, we have got something. If we are we're having a chat with somebody and we are closing it, so we would say TTFN, Tata for now. See you all, TR. See you later. See you later. L8R, later, because the people are in hurry. They don't have time to write down the things. TTYL, talk to you later. So these are different examples. These are the different actually funny examples that I have taken that are being used in today's texting, and this is a new variety of English that is emerging these days. There were some other varieties. I won't be going into too much detail, just a quick view. There is this Indian English, Russianish, Spanglish, some examples that are given about the two French and Canadian language, some competing global languages. If world English is emerging on one side, on the other side there are competing global languages as well that are coming. The first competing global language is that of Arabic, because there are many Arabic speakers. So the Arabic language is the first competing global language. There is Russian, there is Mandarin, there is Spanish, and there is French. Education Act of 1870 was really important about the RP. RP, as I told you earlier, is the received pronunciation, is the standard pronunciation that all of us are following. It's Cockney in RP is Cox Act, then in RP is received pronunciation, posh, These are different words that were there in the Education Act of 1870. And then the World War II, again the emergence of new Englishes. These are some examples from different magazines. Look at the words. These are some atomic bomb words that were used. Atomic holocaust, chain reaction, fallout, fireball, fission, fusion. These are actually the examples of the rising Englishes of the world. Coca-colonialism, for example, Coca-Cola, Gillette, Kellogg's Cornflakes, Kellogg's Rice, Christ Pies, Snap, Crackle and Pop, all these things. And then Korean and Vietnam wars, there are the different words that have emerged up as the new English words. Now there is again there was a person who was talking to a journalist. I really prefer to write it down for you, to share it with you. He write, you always write it's bombing, bombing, bombing. It's not bombing, it's air support. See how language is manipulated. See how language is controlled. If somebody is bombing, if the bombing is going on in the air, so what is it? They are saying it is not bombing, it is air support. They're supporting the air. See, this is the use of language, and this is a rise of new language, that how language is being controlled and used, how language is maneuvered over, how language is changed, how language is manipulated, is played with to change the meanings of the words. Some regional dialects were given by Franklin D. Some Eastern Money and some other things, and these are the examples of some regional dialects. Some then Silicon Valley words that were used, again a rise of new English. Then there are some actually disadvantages of the English as a global language as well. We have just looked at some advantages. Let's quickly look at one or two disadvantages. What is a disadvantage? Disadvantage is in, for example, there is actually a complexity of the s sound. So is shoe, sugar, issue, mansion, mission, nation, suspicion, the words like that. And then there is full, reduced, zero graded of the consonants. There is long, short, or shua, and zero graded of the vowels. So these are some of the disadvantages of the English as a global languages. Now there are some advantages of English as well, as it is natural gender, no grammatical gender. It is neutral language. Simplified word endings are there, resulting in greater flexibility. Noun can be changed into the verb, yes, as all of us know. There is teeming vocabulary. 80% is not Anglo-Saxons, but rather Arabic, Celtic. Yes, it's teeming. It's all those languages that we have seen in the history, that we have looked at. So it is not something that is far beyond. So with this, we are coming towards the end of our today's lecture. And to sum it up quickly, I would say, I would like to bring your attention to one thing. I actually was going through, I was reading some book, and there I found these words, and I would, these actually are the words that show a great light on the current status of the English. See what these are. Here it says that relationships are harder now because conversation becomes texting, arguments become phone calls, and feeling becomes status updates. See how English has changed, how language has changed. It is rather from the use and the functions of the words, it has now come towards the texting, where we are just messaging. Instead of making the arguments directly, we are making phone calls, and instead of sharing our feelings to the people by using different words, we are writing down the status updates. So this is the current status of the English language that we have. And with this, we will end it up here. In this today's lecture, we have discussed in detail different varieties of English, as well as we have also looked at the world Englishes, that what is the status of world Englishes, how can they be divided, what are some inner structures, what are some outer structures, outer circles, and what is the expandable circles. We have looked at some different criticism on these circles, and then we have identified the differences. We have looked at the place of our own language as well. One question that I posed while during the lecture, one was that, tell me that what was the status of English language in Pakistan, whether it is ESL or whether it is EFL. I would say that the status of English in Pakistan is ESL, as English as a second language, because here it is a language of institutions. It is institutionalized. We read it, we write it, we document it, we used it in the form of documentation. It is the language of so many institutions. It is the language of instruction. So the answer is that the status of English in Pakistan is ESL. So with this, we'll end up our today's lecture, and take very good care of yourself, and see you inshallah in the next lecture. Till then, take care and goodbye and Allah Hafiz.